Edward G. Gibson served as science pilot of Skylab 4. For his heroism and duty to his country, Edward Gibson is inducted into the United States Astronaut Hall of Fame.
I was president of my first grade class 2 years in a row. Graduates, relax. Enjoy this weekend. Bask in the glow of your achievements. For on Monday, you go to work. Now, most graduates will soon forget long commencement speeches as soon as they are delivered. Only those that are short are remembered. I intend that you remember mine. Now, had I accepted people's early judgment of my academic prowess, it would have been a different life for me. And so it is for all of us. The prime requirement for success is to have enough self-confidence to be persistent, to never, 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 never give up. Of course, for persistence to even have a chance, we must first get started. In the 18th century, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said, "Whatever you think you can do, or dream that you can, begin it. For in boldness there is power and magic." Important words, useful words, words that today have been shortened by Nike to just do it.
No doubt our program got off to a fast start. My own view of it began back in 1958 when I and my parents and my then girlfriend, now my wife, stood out in the backyard of our home up in what I call the garden paradise of the United States, Buffalo. And we watched mankind's first satellite to go over, the Soviet Sputnik. Now, back then, I had never heard the word astronaut. But it was only 15 years later that my parents stood out in the same backyard and they watched me go over. In the next short period of time, we pulled together a first-class space team, we went to the moon, and we put a space station into orbit.
Being persistent has another advantage. It often allows you to have the last word, which can give you the upper hand. My crewmates on Skylab and I, well, we found ourselves on the wrong end of this one even before our mission. A few days before liftoff, they discovered the cracks in the fins of our booster. Now, because we were eager to go and not too happy with that 5-day delay required in order to replace the cracked fins, we started to refer to the booster as Old Humpty Dumpty. Well, somehow that got out in the press and, of course, didn't sit too well with those who were working around the clock in order to get the booster ready in time. But they said nothing, at least not until 20 minutes before launch, when we got a message. "Good luck and Godspeed from all the king's horses and all the king's men."
Our space program is known for another kind of fast start, and that's a liftoff. And let me take you through one of those. It is an exciting time. Any crewman who is not excited in a liftoff does not really understand what's about to happen. Let's take you along on one. One day, you and your friends get in a van and you take a ride out to a 37-story tall building and take an elevator up to the top floor, go into a room and lay on a couch and stare at a very familiar scene. A few of your friends outside and you talk for about a couple hours. You run a few checks on equipment in front of you. Then one of your friends outside starts counting backwards from 10. You hear this tremendous sucking sound as propellants get ripped into combustion chambers. It was a noise my crewmate Bill Pogue said it sounded like they just simultaneously flushed every toilet in the Astrodome.
5, 4.
And then the bottom floor of the building explodes. And you realize that, hey, this is a very good simulation. Well, when you are thrust into orbit, you are literally thrust into a whole new environment. After a day, you're going to feel sick. When you look in the mirror, this pumpkin looks back. You got a round red head with bright red eyeballs. Because no longer are your arteries checked by gravity. They just continue to ram the blood up to the upper part of your head. And you feel like you were at home if you were to lay in bed and put your feet maybe 3 or 4 inches above your head for a couple days without a pillow under your head, that's what you feel like if you're in zero gravity. But after around 2 or 3 days or so, you lose around 3 pounds of water and you feel good again.
3 times I had the opportunity to go outside into the truly great outdoors. It's hard to give you a sense of that experience, but let me try. Let's go to the top of a tall building. Sears Tower, Empire State Building will do. And you look out the window. It's pleasant and relaxing. But now let's open the window, where it'll take you out to the end of a long springboard, where a steel-fisted Arnold Schwarzenegger will grab you by your ankles and hold you head down. Now, intellectually, you're at the same height as you were inside. And intellectually, you also know that you'll never fall. But somehow, you have to admit, it feels a bit different. Now, on a spacewalk, you'll get that same feeling, just more of it. Head down, you glide over Earth at a very serene 5 miles a second. And the laws of Sir Isaac Newton, they give you full intellectual confidence that you're up there to stay. But when you look straight down at Earth, and you feel or you see nothing else around you, this little voice comes out of nowhere. Suppose that Newton guy was just a little bit wrong. That's the time you have faith.
One of the best locations we can imagine for astronomy, in addition to low Earth orbit where the Hubble Space Telescope is the far side of the moon. Instruments set up there one day may be capable of detecting planets around other stars, directly seeing planets. And just imagine if we found a planet, a blue one, with an oxygen atmosphere. The pull would be irresistible. We'd have a crash program for a warp drive, then a mission that would fire our imaginations far more than any episode of Star Trek. But we all have to understand that the distances we're talking about are really immense. On our Skylab flight, we travel 35 million miles, which sounds long, but it turns out it takes light just 3 minutes to travel that same distance. It takes light over 4 years to come from a nearest star. So clearly, when it comes to space travel, I think we've just barely put our toe out the front door.
All of us who are in the program realize that we're really on the front end of something much larger than we can imagine. Maybe even much larger than what Hollywood could imagine. However, I have the confidence that if you dig deep enough into the tough hide of the most sophisticated, hard-boiled, cynical space engineer, lurking inside you're going to find a Trekkie. Someone who realizes that the space probes and all their data are interesting, sometimes even exciting, as what we've just seen come back from Mars. But ultimately, it's we who have to go there and see this new turf up close, to feel and experience it before it can really become a true part of our own world. I also believe that in a time not so far as many of us might fear, that someday, driven by the pride and the spirit and the capabilities of people of all nations, astronauts will finally become true astronauts, just as depicted and inspired by Al Bean's painting. That is, astronauts who do really travel among the stars.
Graduates, whatever you think you can do, or dream that you can, never stop until it is done. For in persistence, you'll find triumph and fulfillment. Congratulations, Godspeed, and hang in there.